Today I want to talk about why most talented creatives stay broke and how to fix it. But listen to this first. They can design a logo that makes a startup look like a Fortune 500 company, write poetry that stirs the soul, or shoot films that belong at Sundance, but they can't pay the rent. It's the most frustrating paradox in the creative world. Talent does not always equal income. In fact, some of the most gifted artists, writers, designers, musicians, and filmmakers are flat out broke, while far less talented people seem to rake in money doing what looks like a watered down version of the same craft. Why? Why do brilliant creators with more raw ability than entire marketing teams often struggle to monetize their work? As a creator, have you asked yourself this question? Why am I so good at this, but still broke? And more importantly, how do I fix it? If you're new to the channel, my name is St. James. I'm a Grammy Award-winning songwriter and producer, and I've been fortunate enough to have success at both music and visual arts and help other artists do the same along the way. So today I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into why a lot of artists, why a lot of creative people find it so hard to turn their craft and turn their skill sets into profit. But check this out. I want to continue with this. Let's start with some hard truths. Talent is not a currency. In business terms, talent is a potential asset, but it only has value when it's applied, positioned, and exchanged for something tangible. And that tangible thing usually is money. This is where most creatives fall short. They overinvest in skill and underinvest in leverage. Here are 5 common reasons talented creators stay broke. Number 1, they confuse mastery with marketability. Being great at your craft doesn't mean there's a market for it or that the market knows you exist. You can write the most profound short story of the decade, but if it's not packaged, published, and pitched to the right audience, it remains a Word doc on your computer. Now, I know a lot of y'all have so many works out there that you have created and they're just sitting there. I know because I've been in the same place where I've just created masterful things, so I thought were masterful things. And those things just sit there because you're not putting them out into the world for a lot of different reasons. And we're going to talk about some of those reasons here in this video. And let's dive in a little bit deeper. Number 2, they wait to be discovered. Many creatives romanticize the idea of being discovered by a gatekeeper, an agent, a publisher, a record label, or a gallery. But the age of gatekeepers is fading. Today, attention is the new currency, and waiting quietly for someone to find you is a sure path to obscurity. Just like what we were talking about, like you can't sit around and wait for someone to discover you. And, you know, even when that was a thing, it wasn't a thing. Like you will find as you do something creative. Like I remember when I started out in music, a lot of the people we hung around, it was all about who you know and trying to, you know, get close to the people that were already in the industry. But what we soon found out was that a lot of the people that you run behind and chase in the industry, they don't have the opportunities that they look like they have. You know, they kind of look the part and they might be going to all the parties. They might be doing all the things that, you know, are in the face or in the public eye, but they don't really have the connections to what matters, which is, you know, how you're getting paid for your craft and things like that. So you have to be really careful about trying to wait on what you think are the right people or the right person to take, you know, what you already have and put it on a public stage or put it on a stage or in a light that you're going to get paid for it. And that's the thing, like a lot of times creatives don't even know how they get paid, and that you'll find that in the music business. It's so funny. A lot of people that are even prominent people in the music industry don't know where the money comes from. You know, they align themselves or, you know, have been put in positions where they're aligned with a label or something that, cuts them checks, but they don't know how, what they do translates into dollars. And it's a common thing and it's crazy. But I digress. Let's continue. Number 3, they don't learn business skills. And this is what we're talking about. Creatives often think learning marketing, sales, pricing, or negotiation will pollute their artistic integrity. But guess what? Every financially successful creative you admire either learned these skills or hired someone who did. Ignoring the business side does not make you pure, it makes you poor. I want to say that one more time. Ignoring the business side does not make you pure, it makes you poor, P-O-O-R. Number 4, they undercharge out of insecurity. Now, this is a common thing, especially starting out. You don't know what to charge. You don't know, what out there on the marketplace, like when you're doing, especially in doing creative visual work, I found this a lot. I used to be a graphic designer back in the day when I first got out of college. And one of the things that was really hard is when you do freelance work, you didn't know what to charge. But I think right now in the climate that we're in, it's very important that you know your worth and know what is out there. Like the market isn't new anymore. Like these things they've been done so much that there's so many reference to what you can charge and what you can potentially make. You just have to be comfortable with knowing that you're worth that. So taking that understanding and making sure that you're charging enough for what you're doing is very important and very vital. Number 5, they don't own their audience. If your creative income is dependent on one platform, one client, or publisher, you don't have a business. You have a fragile side hustle. And this is very true. Without an audience that you own via email, your website, newsletter, whatever it is, you're at the mercy of someone else's algorithm and or budget cuts. And we see this now. We see this a lot. Platforms and things change when they feel like it. Algorithms change when they feel like it. And, if you're not prepared for those shifts with your own mechanisms to own your own audience and be able to communicate with your audience, you get lost in the sauce. You get caught up in whatever the mix is at the time. So it's vital going forward. I think people should be aware, especially if you are a creative and you're trying to, make yourself prominent in whatever market and be sustainable in whatever market. It's vital that you put your audience in a place where you can manage that, where you can kind of own that communication between you and your audience. And again, like as mentioned here, is as simple as starting a mailing list, starting a SMS list. That's a very popular thing that really does work. There are platforms that will allow you to do that. But whatever it is, make sure that you are owning your own audience, because as things change, you want to be able to maneuver with those changes. I want to go over right now in this what successful creatives do, because I think we talked about what most creative people do that makes them unsuccessful. Now, I want to talk about some things that will help us fix some of these issues. And when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself, because I've done these things. I've done most of the things that we're talking about right now. I've been a victim of them as well. They've been a part of my journey and a part of my growth as a creative person as well. Even though I've reached a place of success, that was not always the case. I had to learn these things the hard way through trial and error, and going through years sometimes of really not making money at my craft, and then not making enough money at my craft to getting to the point where I understood my worth and I understood what to do. And so I want to step through a couple of these things that are tried and true and proven. Number 1, they treat their work like a product. This is what successful artists do. Great creatives ask, how can my art solve a problem, fill a desire, or create a transformation? That could mean emotional impact of a film or music, functional design of UX or UI, or status signaling with fashion or branding. They package their work in a way that's easy to buy and hard to ignore. And that's such an important thing. Like, oftentimes, you know, we even have work that's great and suited for the market, but we're not packaging it in a way that's hard to ignore. And what I mean by that is that you are creating things that, you know, in theory or in their, you know, concept, they are great. And, you know, the finished work is great, but it's not packaged so that people can understand its greatness immediately and want to buy into it or want to make it a part of something that they want to own. So it's very important that you look at things that way. Like, what is the complete package of what I'm doing? You know, how do I take my ideas and package them in a way where people can easily see the value in it? And you know, that'll take you very far with, you know, being able to monetize the things creatively that you do. Next thing, they learn sales psychology. This is an important one. I think, you know, I know a lot of creatives don't want to be salespeople, you know, because you're a creative. You know, you don't want to spend your time learning how to sell and talk sales language, but it's such an important thing if you want to be able to monetize your creative work, that you at least learn the fundamentals of sales and marketing and learn how to communicate your value that way. It's an invaluable skill. And the funny thing is, the more you start to delve into that, I found this for myself. When I made a shift to really focusing on sales and marketing and understanding how to project my worth that way, in whatever marketplace, especially in music, I immediately started making more for what I was doing. Like before that, it was all about, okay, well, what is this person getting paid? And, you know, how do I, you know, undercut that and so that I can at least be in the room? And it's like, no, you can't think about it that way, because if you are undervaluing yourself, other people will too. That's the thing. Like, you know, if you're not giving yourself value, when you get into a room with people that, you know, can't afford to pay you what you're worth, and you're telling them, well, I just want this, they're going to say, well, okay, I'm going to give you whatever I'm going to give you, you know, and you just sit over there until you're ready to play this game with the big boys. And that's how it works a lot of times, especially in entertainment, because it's not a set price structure for things. You get what you negotiate. So be willing to negotiate what you want and what you think you're worth. Let's continue. Number 5, they play the long game. And this is one of the most important things. I'm just going to read it because I think it's profound. Breakout success is rare. Most successful creatives build their creative careers over years, sometimes decades, by consistently showing up, improving their craft, and adapting to the market. The key is to stop obsessing over going viral and start building systems that scale. This is such an important thing, especially in the climate that we're in right now, because I think there's a lot of emphasis being placed on getting somewhere quickly, or, you know, getting to a financial goal or whatever the goal is, getting there quickly and not really putting in the work that it takes. And that's not to say that things don't happen quickly sometimes. You know, if you are a person that is putting in the work and you are doing what you're supposed to do, you would be surprised at how quickly you're able to get to the point of monetizing your skill sets, or at least in a space where you're growing. And oftentimes, you know, that's not the case, because people are trying to shortcut. They're trying to figure out, well, what's the quickest way I can, you know, maneuver or get around this and get around the work. And, you know, yes, you can do that, but what you're cheating yourself out of in the process of doing that is the real knowledge and skills that you learn that are a part of the process. Like, time is an equalizer. You know, time multiplies the things that you learn. Time multiplies the things that you're experiencing, and you can't get around time that way. So if it takes 30 hours to invest in something and learn something that way, and you're saying, no, I just want to do it in 2 hours, then yeah, you probably can get to the end result in those 2 hours, but you're losing out on the experience and the magnification of that time equity that is internal to you. Yes, you don't always have to project that, and it's not always on the surface, and people don't always have to see it, but internally, you know that, and you'll feel it when you are up against the same obstacle again. So when you're up against those same obstacles, if you don't have that time equity and haven't played the long game of investing in yourself, it keeps you from being able to maneuver around the obstacles that may be presented and put in your way. So be consistent and show up for yourself, because it will pay you in dividends later. So this last nugget that I saw here was, how do we get out of creative poverty? First, you have to audit your current strategy. Do you know your ideal client and customer? Are you building an audience? Do you have a clear offer? Do people know how to pay you? These basic things are very important because we don't think about them. Like, a lot of times you don't think about, who is my customer? I know specifically in music, a lot of times I remember, artists coming through the door with their talent and saying, okay, make me a star. I want to do this specific kind of music, and, I want to be rocking the stage here. I want to be all over the world. I want everybody to know me. And it's like, okay, well, who are those people you want to know you? Like, specifically, have you thought about who really buys into you? And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people don't think about who buys into them specifically, because it is a matter of that. Like, that's what marketing is, knowing who is buying into what you're offering. And it's not everybody. A lot of people think that, oh, it's just everybody. I'm offering something that will apply to everybody, or that will appeal to everyone. And trust me, that does not work. It's not the case. You do have to really narrow down the things that really make you unique and what people buy into that, because everybody doesn't buy into everything. Everybody doesn't believe in everything that comes across their periphery. So you have to be strategic and very mindful of what things people are buying into for you, and those things will really allow you to craft your work in a way that immediately taps into an audience, or immediately taps into the people that are going to be a part of your tribe. And there's nothing wrong with trying things. Like, for instance, on this channel, I've tried a lot of different things, and that was on purpose because I wanted to see where my voice resonated, and I wanted to feel comfortable with what I actually have to say to the people that I want to impact. And that's a learning process, and you want to go through that learning process and not just assume that everybody is going to buy into what you're offering. So don't make that assumption. Definitely know who your customer is, and know how you're building your audience, and have a clear offer. You want to know what your offer is, what you're offering that people want to buy into. And it's not always the same thing. Sometimes it can be, a product. Sometimes it can be you. Sometimes people can be buying into you as the product. That often happens in music, where you'll have an artist that's being nurtured through the songs that they're releasing. So the songs are one product, but the artist is also a product that people are buying into. So you have to clearly know what that is and know what you're offering. So if in the case of music, if you are offering yourself as the product, then nurturing, the product that you are is very important, and understanding how that comes across, but then understanding what, those little things that the people are buying into along the way to grow you as the product, meaning like the songs, the merch, the shows, and all those things. All those things are small subsets of the product that you are, so that, people are buying into those things, and in turn buying into you. So it's really important to understand that. And how do people pay you? Again, that is one of the craziest things that, oftentimes people don't even know how to contribute to someone financially, and people won't know unless you tell them. A lot of times in the creative world, we do work because we want to be known for doing something great and creative and moving. And, you know, we put ourselves out there in that realm and think, okay, now people are just gonna throw money at me. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. If you're not deciding or being intentional about telling people how to pay you and, you know, how to compensate you for the things that you create and do, oftentimes it won't happen. You know, you won't make money. You won't be able to monetize yourself or do things that bring in revenue because people don't know. People have no clue of how to pay you. So be strategic and be intentional about giving people the roadmap on how to pay you. And I want to finish with this last thought because it's something that I know I needed to hear. I wish I would have heard a lot sooner, and I know a lot of other creators need to hear. The starving artist myth is outdated and frankly harmful. It keeps talented people stuck, burned out, and bitter. You don't have to choose between creative integrity and financial stability. You can have both, but only if you're willing to step into the uncomfortable truth. Being good at your craft is not enough. You must learn how to sell it, scale it, and own it. Don't wait to be discovered. Discover yourself and start creating a creative business that pays you what you're worth. I hope this has been extremely helpful for someone. And until we talk again, I wish you health, wealth, and freedom.